Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajakacharya Ashtotara Sata Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mayi Ki Jai Jamuna Mayi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, and welcome everyone to Srimad Bhagavatam with His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami. It is Friday, December 20th, 2024 in New York, and today we're starting with Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, Chapter 8, text number 48. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Kiritinang kundalinang Keyura valayan vitam Kaustubha bharana grivang Pita vasasam. The entire body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudeva is decorated. He wears a valuable jeweled helmet, necklaces, and bracelets. His neck is adorned with the Kaustuba jewel, and he is dressed in yellow silk garments. Kanchi kalapaparyastang lasat kanchananupuram darshaniyattamang shantam mano nayanavardhanam. The Lord is decorated with small golden bells around his waist, and his lotus feet are decorated with golden ankle bells. All his bodily features are very attractive and pleasing to the eyes. He is always peaceful, calm, and quiet, and very pleasing to the eyes and the mind. Padbhyang nakamani shrinya vilasadbhyam samarchitam hritpadmakarnika dishnyam akramyatmanyavastitam. Real yogis meditate upon the transcendental form of the Lord as he stands on the whorl of the lotus of their hearts, the jewel-like nails of his lotus feet glittering. Smayamanam abhidyayat sanuragavalokanam niyatenaika bhutena manasa varadarshabham. The Lord is always smiling, and the devotee should constantly see the Lord in this form as he looks very mercifully toward the devotee. In this way, the meditator should look toward the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the bestower of all benedictions. The word niyatena is very significant in this connection, for it indicates that one should execute the meditation practice as stated above. One should not manufacture a way of meditation on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but should follow the authorized Shastras and personalities. By this prescribed method, one can practice concentration upon the Lord until one is so fixed that he remains in trance, thinking always of the form of the Lord. The word used here is ekabhutena, which means with great attention and concentration. If one concentrates on the descriptions of the bodily features of the Lord, one will never fall down. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Narada Muni here is giving Dhruva Maharaj a preview of what he can expect if his meditation becomes perfect. Prabhupada focuses right on this word niyate, which Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says with attachment. And Prabhupada says that it indicates one should execute the meditation practice as stated above. You can't manufacture a meditation practice. You can, but you won't get any kind of desired result, as Narada is describing here, just like you cannot bake a cake successfully unless you follow a recipe. The proper ingredients have to be there. The oven has to be at the right temperature. You have to bake it in the right kind of pan. You have to grease the pan, etc., etc. And you're following, in that case, shastras and personalities who compiled those shastras. If you want the desired result, you have to follow. And this is what Prabhupada is stressing here. By this prescribed method, he says, one can practice concentration upon the Lord until one is so fixed that he remains in trance, thinking always of the form of the Lord. So this corroborates with other things that we've read, that we pass through various stages on our way from Shraddha to Prema. And at a certain point, your concentration becomes so keen and fixed that your natural inclination to be attracted to the Lord takes over, and that pulls you further towards the Lord. And then he mentions the word ekabhutena, which with great attention and concentration. It's a very encouraging statement here. If one concentrates on the descriptions of the bodily features of the Lord, one will never fall down. To me, the key word there is concentrates, because some of us know how difficult it is to concentrate the mind, especially when we're trying to concentrate on the form of the Lord, which is sometimes seems very far away. But this recommendation is there from Narada Muni, Eka Bhutena, one thing, just concentrate on one thing. Simple thing in theory, difficult thing in practice. Unless you're serious, then you concentrate on one thing. Plenty of people concentrate on one thing in order to get it, whether it's a member of the opposite sex or a job or some money or a car or you name it. They concentrate on that one thing and they go get it. So we're being called upon to do that same thing when it comes to Krishna. And funny enough, that's required of us. When we chant, we need to concentrate and not concentrate on anything else. We can't chant and do other things. We may try, but we will fail. The more things you try to do, the less adept you will be at any individual one of those things. And certainly concentration on the form of the Lord, especially when it offers such perks as never falling down, is worth taking seriously. Hare Krishna. Maharaj, we'd love to hear from you if you have some comments for this verse or the preceding verses.
Omagyanatimirandasya Kiranjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Shri Chaitanya Manopistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Shayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Shapadati. Just noting this one word, Sanuraga Avalokana. The Lord is glancing or looking toward the devotees, Sa Anuraga, with great affection or with attachment. Durdaiva Midra Sumyahajani Na Anuraga, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I have no, unfortunately, I have no attachment to chanting Hare Krishna. So the Lord has attachment or affection, raga, anuraga, for his devotees. So the devotee is meditating on Krishna, and he's meditating on Krishna's that feature of Krishna, that he's very affectionate and very he's not just a statue, but he's looking affectionately toward his devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj. As you were speaking, Maharaj, I was thinking along that same line, that I was saying that we concentrate our minds on so many things in material existence. But here we find that Krishna, if we concentrate on him, is concentrating on us with great affection, and he's prepared to give us all benedictions. Whereas most often, in fact, 100% of the time, the things that we focus on, concentrate on, devote our lives to procuring or admiring or acquiring in the material world, they don't care about us at all, whether we live or die. It's not reciprocal in the way that Krishna's affection is. We have some activity in the chat. Prabhin Krishna Prabhu says, Ha sangharer avanata kila loka tivra shokashusagara vishoshanam atyudaram samohanaya rachitam nijamaya yasya Bhrumandalang Munikrite Makara Dhvajasya. A yogi should similarly meditate on the most benevolent smile of Lord Sri Hari, a smile which, for all those who bow to him, dries away the ocean of tears caused by intense grief. The yogi should also meditate on the Lord's arched eyebrows, which are manifested by his internal potency in order to charm the sex god for the good of the sages. Thank you for that, Prabhu. Could you also give us the reference for that? I'm not familiar. And Madhupati Prabhu says, Hare Krishna. Why was this prescription of Ashtanga Yoga process of meditation? I'm sorry. Why was this prescription of Ashtanga Yoga, of the Ashtanga Yoga process of meditation recommended by Narada Muni to Dhruva Maharaj as in Bhagavatam 4.8.43.44, which we can go back, I guess, and look at.
This is just as kirtan is recommended in Kali Yuga and in previous ages, meditation and other methods were recommended.
Okay, Prabhu.
And Prabhin Krishna Prabhu has provided the reference for the verse he quoted, 3:28-32. And Saraswati Mata says, Pranamas Param Puji Maharaj and all the Vaishnavas. How is the meditation practice undertaken by Dhruva different from that by Vishvamitra and other yogis that do fall down? Why are they not successful when Dhruva is and attained complete perfection in 6 months?
He's more advanced. He's gotten blessings from Narad Muni, and there's some specific. Well, first of all, he's super determined. He's not going to be deviated by anything else, and he's blessed by Narad Muni. And there's some, what would we say? There's devotion there to the Lord, although it hasn't yet matured. And also he's getting the grace of the Lord. What is that? New Upanishads, it said that he reveals his form to those he wants to reveal his form to. So, if Krishna had wanted, he could have blessed Vishwamitra. And then Vishwamitra would never have had a Manika problem. But the Lord chose to bless Dhruva Maharaj. That's his prerogative.
Jai. And Vijay Krishna Prabhu says, I wonder which is the attention and concentration of a book distributor. How can a book distributor concentrate on the Lord in the midst of so many distractions caused by the 3 modes of material nature?
He's the most concentrated. He's more so than those who are comfortable in the temple. The book distributors are always praying to Krishna for help in their mission. They're always focused on selling a book, somehow or other communicating this message. So they're really focused. Even if they're focused on, scores, still it's focus. They want to please Krishna or the spiritual master by distributing some particular number of books. So to be a book distributor, especially to be a successful book distributor, you have to be focused. That's the best meditation.
Jai. Any other comments or questions before moving on? I was going to ask if Madhupati Prabhu could pick up with our reading and start with text number 52.
Okay.
Yeah, please go ahead when you're ready, Prabhu.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Krutas Jayadvaita Swami Namina. Evam Bhagavato Rupam Subhadram Dayatum Manaha Nivritya Parayaturnam Sampannam Nanivartate. One who meditates in this way, concentrating his mind upon the always auspicious form of the Lord, is very soon freed from all material contamination, and he does not come down from meditation upon the Lord. This fixed meditation is called samadhi or trance. A person constantly engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord cannot be deviated from meditating on the form of the Lord, as described herein. The Archana Marg, or the devotional path prescribed in the Pancharatra system of devotional service, for worshipping the deity in the temple, makes the devotee think constantly of the Lord. That is samadhi or trance. One who practices in this way cannot deviate from the service of the Lord, and that makes him perfect in the mission of human life. Om Ajnanatimidasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurmitan Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Yeah, so that's the result of the meditation which was described in the previous verses, is one becomes freed from the contamination from all material contamination, nivritya, and becomes enriched with the highest bliss. Mentioned the word paraya sampannam, and never deviated from it, na nivartate. So these are the three results of meditation described here in this verse. And Srila Prabhupada further elaborates, one who is constantly engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord cannot be deviated from meditating on the form of the Lord, as described herein. And further describes about the Archana Marga, Pancharatra system, deity worship, where the devotee constantly thinks of the Lord, and that is samadhi or trance. Right? And one who practices in this way cannot deviate from the service of the Lord. He is continuously engaged in the service of the Lord, and thus becomes perfect in the mission of human life. Yeah, that's all I had.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Maharaj, would you like to comment here?
Just that this verse reinforces Prabhupada's final point in the purport that one who's constantly engaged in meditation on the form of the Lord cannot fall down.
It also reminds me of an exchange Satsvarup Maharaj had with Prabhupada. Simple, early conversation. He asked Prabhupada if there's a level of Krishna consciousness that one can reach at which one does not fall down. And Prabhupada simply said yes. And that changed his life, gave him great faith in the process. We have a hand up from Saraswati Mata. Please go ahead.
Yes, Hare Krishna. I don't want to digress too much, but there's a couple of sentences, and this is in the first canto because that's where we are at our local Bhagavatam class. And there's a couple of sentences here which sort of threw me because just as mentioned here, to be perfect in the mission of human life is to surrender to Krishna. And here in the purport, it says, well, Maharaj talked about how Dhruv Maharaj had the blessings and therefore he is successful. So in this verse, they're talking about The transcendental system of devotional service is also free. It may or may not develop in a particular person, even after he undergoes all the detailed formulas. Similarly, the association of the devotee is also free. One may be fortunate to have it, or one may not have it, even after thousands of endeavors. And then it talks about freedom. The freedom surrendered to the Lord does not mean that the devotee becomes dependent in every respect. But I thought that's the whole point, that we are, that's our constitutional position, is to be dependent on the Lord. So that sort of sentence threw me off. And also, when they talk about how you may or may not be successful, of course, everything is under the will of Krishna, but it sort of sounds like it's all left to chance. You know, you may practice the process and still not get there. So it sort of looks like it's all sort of left, that you, like, it sort of could be defeating, because, you know, you're depending on Krishna, but you could be trying, but you still might not get anywhere. So I suppose you should just keep trying. Sorry, I'm rambling there, but Hare Krishna.
So it's not mechanical. It's not that because you do X, Y, and Z, then you must get such and such result, as in a mechanical process. It's up to Krishna. If he wants, you'll get pure devotional service very quickly. If he doesn't want, then something else will happen. We can't demand of Krishna, I've done this, this, and this, and therefore I expect this, this, and this. It's not mechanical like that.
Maharaj, can you talk a little bit about that sentence where they say you're not dependent on?
No, I can't without having the verse in front of me. What's the sentence say? I'll look it up.
Sorry, it was talking about the freedom that you can only really
I'm
have.
talking about exact quotes so that I can get the verse.
It's Canto 1.6.37, and it's actually at the end of the purport.
10,
1.6.37.
1:6:37.
Yes, and towards the end of the purport.
Okay. Okay, it means so we have a little bit of freedom, that without freedom, there's no execution of devotional service. So the freedom surrendered to the Lord doesn't mean, so the devotee still, he can say, all right, now I'm not going to be dependent anymore. I'm going to give up devotional service. He has that tiny independence. Devotee doesn't become dependent in every respect. That means he has tiny independence, although it's tiny.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Let me just see if there's, okay, something else too.
Purna Mataji writes, Maharaj, Hare Krishna Maharaj, in this age, Sankirtan movement can deliver all fallen souls. For a previous age, Ashtanga yoga system might not be for everybody like Sudras and other less intelligent class of men. So what might have been the means of deliverance for them?
Good question. I never thought about it. Of course, yeah. I don't think I have anything to say about that. Never heard Prabhupada address that question. I think if there's something. No, I don't have an immediate answer.
Vijay Krishna Prabhu writes, while Srila Prabhupada declares that the mission of human life is the service of the Lord, some people say that the mission of human life is to eradicate hunger and disease. My question is, Who is right and who is wrong?
Well, just eradicating hunger and disease, that comes in the package with devotional service. If we just try to eradicate hunger and disease, the attempt will be a failure. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj. Let's see. Text 53. Yes, Panchatattva Prabhu, can you read a text 53?
Japascha paramo guya shriyatam me nripatmaja yam satturatram prapatam Uman pashyati kecharan. O son of the king, now I shall speak unto you the mantra which is to be chanted with this process of meditation. One who carefully chants this mantra for 7 nights can see the perfect human beings flying in the sky. Purport. Within this universe there is a planet called Siddhaloka. The inhabitants of Siddhaloka are by nature perfect in the yoga achievements, which are of 8 varieties. One can become smaller than the smallest, lighter than the lightest, or bigger than the biggest. One can immediately get whatever he likes. One can even create a planet, etc. These are some of the yogic perfections. By virtue of the Laghima Siddhi, or purificatory process to become lighter than the lightest, the inhabitants of Siddhaloka can fly in the sky without airplanes or airships. It is hinted herein by Narada Muni to Dhruva Maharaj that by meditating upon the transcendental form of the Lord and at the same time chanting the mantra, one becomes so perfect within 7 days that he can see the human beings who fly in the sky. Narada Muni uses the word japaha, which indicates that the mantra to be chanted is very confidential. One may ask, if it is confidential, why is it mentioned in the writing of Srimad Bhagavatam? It is confidential in this sense. One may receive a published mantra anywhere, but unless it is accepted through the chain of disciplic succession, the mantra does not act. It is said by authoritative sources that any mantra chanted without having been received from the disciplic succession has no efficacy. Another point established in this verse is that meditation should be carried on with the chanting of a mantra. Chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is the easiest process of meditation in this age. As soon as one chants the Hare Krishna mantra, he sees the forms of Krishna, Rama, and their energies, and that is the perfect stage of trance. One should not artificially try to see the form of the Lord while chanting Hare Krishna, but when the chanting is performed offenselessly, the Lord will automatically reveal himself to the view of the chanter. The chanter, therefore, has to concentrate on hearing the vibration, and without extra endeavor on his part, the Lord will automatically appear. Om Jnana Timarandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshumaritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Gurudasa Jayadvaita Swami Iti Namine. So now Dhruva Maharaj is about to get his mantra for his yoga process. Prabhupada establishes in the second paragraph of this purport that meditation should be carried out or carried on with the chanting of a mantra. So Dhruva Maharaj's practice, yoga practice, it's for controlling the mind and senses, but it's for meditating upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He goes, as we'll see, he goes through different steps of bringing the senses under control and so forth. But all the while he's chanting Om, he's chanting this mantra, which we will get in the next verse. And it's interesting, of course, that Prabhupada makes this point of what is the confidentiality of a mantra? Just like if you go online and you want to look up the Brahma Gayatri mantra, it's everywhere. You can find it. It's for public consumption. There are recordings of it by popular, singers and so forth. But to actually have a mantra be effective, it has to be received in disciplic succession by a person who has become purified and qualified to receive that mantra, at least with the preliminary qualifications. Here it is said, unless it is accepted through the chain of disciplic succession, the mantra does not act. The yogic perfections are mentioned here. It made me think about the story of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Bishikena, the rogue pseudo-yogi who had acquired some mystic powers by practice of a materialistic approach to the yoga system, and had used it for malicious political purposes, and who was undone ultimately by the Thakur, who was residing in a forest outside of Bhubaneswar with a couple of compatriots, one of whom said he was the incarnation of Brahma, and the other who said he was the incarnation of Shiva, with Vishikena saying that he was none other than Mahavishnu or Bhagavan. So these kinds of pseudo-yogis, even though they may acquire some apparent cheap powers or, magic tricks, they're not what we're talking about here. We're talking about personalities who come to this point through their practice of yoga. They can reside in a planet called Siddha Loka. And their perfection in yoga achievements isn't tainted by any sort of, mundane desire for profit, adoration, or distinction, or control over others for some materialistic demoniac purpose. These are very elevated beings. So Dhruva is being, excuse me. So Dhruva Maharaj is being encouraged that it's so extraordinary. It's interesting that Narada Muni gives this. It's kind of, to me, it seems almost like a material tease that if you chant this perfectly for 7 nights, you can see the siddhas flying in the sky. But of course, what Narada Muni is directing Dhruva Maharaj towards is something quite extraordinary and quite beyond that. He's described here for Dhruva Maharaj the enchanting form and features of the Lord, his beautiful face, his beautiful smile, his compassionate nature, and so he's aimed Dhruva in the right direction, and he's giving him the era of the mantra, and he's encouraging him in all respects to take this process very seriously. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for reading, Prabhu. Maharaj, would you like to say something here?
This last paragraph is significant. One should not artificially try to see the form of the Lord while chanting Hare Krishna. When the chanting is performed offensively, the Lord will automatically reveal himself to the view of the chanter. I put some quotes in my Kirtan Standards book to that effect, and for the next printing I'll have to reference this statement here because it reinforces or authoritatively establishes this point. Sometimes we hear that while chanting we should envision the Lord, we should meditate on the form of the Lord or pastimes of the Lord, that while chanting, we should be doing these things. And that's not what Prabhupada says to do. It's very clear. It may be, it's very clear that that's not what Prabhupada says. Just focus on the chanting, focus on the sound vibration, chant with devotion and attention, and Krishna will reveal himself. When he reveals himself, then we'll see him. Not that by some meditative process, envisioning the form of the Lord, envisioning the pastimes. That's not what Prabhupada says to do. Just chant with quality, which means offenselessly. The chanter has to concentrate on hearing the vibration, and without extra endeavor on his part, the Lord will, oh, come on, lovely Kindle, will automatically appear. So, important point. Hare Krishna.
Raveen Prabhu writes, how sutras are delivered. One devotee shared with me a verse, although I do not know the source. Fortunate for those who are 1. Sudras, since just by serving their exalted masters, they can attain the destination of their masters. 2. Women, for just by serving their qualified husbands, they achieve the same destination as their husbands. 3. In Kali Yuga, for just by the holy name, they can be delivered.
Thank you for that, Previn Krishna Prabhu. That seems to be an answer to a previous question from Priti Purnamadavi Devi. Looks like there's more in the chat there.
Yeah. Saraswati Mataji writes, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya 1.6, 269, stated that there are yogis following the Patanjali process where the yogi meditates on the four-handed form of Vishnu, but want to merge into his body, and they are worse than those yogi impersonalists that want to merge in Brahma Jyoti, because although they believe in the personality of Vishnu, they don't want to serve him. Why are they not purified by meditation then?
Again, I might have to look at the report. Maybe it's 60. So what is this? Let me just look at this question. One thing is that it's a little difficult when we're reading here from fourth canto, and then somehow it becomes connected to something in another canto or another book, and then we have to go back and see what the context is from that. It's it's not so not so easy. But, Yeah. The point is that wanting to merge with the Lord's body is worse than wanting to merge into the effulgence of the Lord. And Prabhupada says they want to merge into his body. That indicates that they don't want to engage in his service despite not their knowledge of him. And so their position is even more abominable than those who want to merge into the Lord's effulgence. So they know there's a personality of Godhead. They meditate on him even, but then they want to merge into him. Those who are after the Brahmajyoti effulgence, and maybe they don't know about the personality of Godhead, but they know these impersonalists know, so they're considered more abominable because even after seeing the Lord, they don't want to serve him. That appears to be the point. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Panchatapa Prabhu writes, often we hear that the process of meditation on the form of the Lord begins with his lotus feet, but here Narad Muni begins with a description of the Lord's face and gradually describes his body and at last his lotus feet, with a return to his smile and his merciful glance. I find that interesting. Okay. Praveen Prabhu writes, how do we know that someone is revealed the form, the Lord?
We may know or not know. He knows.
Thank you, Maharaj. And Praveen Krishna Prabhu says, thank you, Maharaj.
Hare
Hare Krishna. Our next verse has quite the long purport, and it seems that we probably wouldn't have time if we started it now to sufficiently get into it. So we have the choice of starting and, please go ahead.
We have a comment in the chat. Sorry, Kendra, go ahead.
No, please take the comment. Let's move on.
Okay. Shraddha writes, Hare Krishna Maharaj, it is recommended that we focus on the sound vibrations while chanting, but is it okay to meditate on the form otherwise?
It's not sinful to think of Krishna, to remember Krishna's form or his pastimes and so on. So it's all right, yes. But our process is not meditation in that way. Sit down and think of the form of the Lord. Our process is to chant. That's the most effective way. Then the form of the Lord will already automatically appear. But it's not prohibited. Don't think of the form of the Lord. You can't see a picture. You can't, oh no, I thought of the form of the Lord. It's all right. But our chanting process is to chant and hear.
Jai. And with that, as I was saying before, our next verse is quite the sizable purport. Probably something we should start a class with, not try to cram in at the very end. So speaking of chanting and concentrating on the chanting, I was going to ask Vijay Krishna Prabhu if you'd like to lead us in a closing kirtan, and maybe we could even end a little early, depending on how far you go.
Of course, Kendra Das Prabhu, thank you very much. You're most kind. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare. Hare Hare. Hare Hare.
Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotar Sata Shri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda, Radha Kunda, Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadvip Dham ki jai. Ganga Mayi ki jai. Jamuna Mayi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Tulsi Devi ki jai. Samaveta Bhakta Brinda ki jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, and thank you everyone for being here, for your questions, comments, readings, participations. Thank you especially Maharaj. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Krishna, Bhuttam, Pratash, Jayadvaita Swami. Hare Krishna very much.
Hare Krishna, my phone was ringing in. I had to get rid of that. Srila Prabhupada ki jai and
Yeah.
Hare Krishna Madhupati, Hare Krishna Panchatat Prabhu.
Welcome, Raj.
Thank you to all. Hare
Thank you, Marge.
Thank you,
Hare
Maharaj.
Krishna, Radha. Hare Krishna to all.
It's warmer down in Florida in case you want to make a visit, Gurudev.
No, I made a choice. It was warm where I was going, you know. But New York is, yeah, I have a choice, warm weather or New York. I'll take New York.
Hare Krishna. Their good fortune. Hare Krishna.
I've done enough of the warm weather, my own comfort and sense gratification.
Hare
Now
Krishna.
we're getting to the real thing, New York City.
Jai.
Hare Krishna. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
All right.
Gaur Premanande Hari.
Hare Bol.